The price of peace can be expensive.
The challenges are big. There is a challenge of insufficient education facilities.
It knows no male and segregates no female.
Nchi yetu sio mzuri, kila saa tunafika kwa kasi yetu.
It creates no difference in physical appearance, whether short or tall. The involvement of adults, middle-aged and the youth saves the child, a guarantee for the future generation.
Anasaidia AMISOM Somalia, amefanya kazi mingi, adeni amefanya kazi mzuri.
This range shooting ground forms part of the basis for the mentorship program for the National Army of Somalia. This is what African Union Mission in Somalia, or AMISOM, as went its acronym, did before it graduated into African Transition Mission in Somalia, or ATMIS, as it is abbreviated. Countries that have peacefully settled have paid a heavy price, some through blood. Some are still struggling on the path towards the direction of peace. Somalia belongs to this category. Uganda has successfully weathered all storms of turmoil, overcome the cracks of disorder, and successfully ushered in the runway of coherence.
Security is all about who you see in a place and you don't understand who she or he is. If you don't report such a person, then such happens. So I think security begins with each and every individual.
As a sign of goodwill, the country has exported peace to some neighboring countries. Somalia is a beneficiary of this brotherly gesture, hence the presence of Ugandan troops in this country.
AMISOM responsibility here is to receive these defectors on a transitory basis, not to keep them, not even to interrogate them, to receive them and then hand them over to the appropriate authorities of the federal government of Somalia.
The end of AMISOM, without setting necessary exit plans, had worried troop leaders over a possibility of losing the gains attained. It has since transitioned into ATMIS to aid a smooth shift for Somalia's home forces to take over their own security.
Withdrawal eventually will come, but it should happen at the right time. Not now that Al-Shabaab is being defeated, the country is getting pacified.
Create the necessary conditions, okay, for AMISOM exit. AMISOM is not intending to leave. AMISOM is compelled to leave.
Property may have been destroyed and lives may have been lost during both missions. But the journey towards the pacification of Somalia remains on course. Boats are on the ground as the forces stay watchful day and night.
When you heard about any blast, that meant that there was a casualty, there would be some dead or something, like a vehicle has been completely damaged. But today, you don't hear that.
The same gospel has been preached to other countries in similar situations. The reasoning, for example, remains for warring parties in Sudan, Khartoum, to give peace a chance.
We convene today under a sense of urgency as our region grapples with challenging times, be it the devastating conflict in our sister nation, Sudan.
This was sometime in January 2024, during the 42nd Extraordinary Assembly of IGAD Heads of State and Government. Leaders described the Sudan unrest as an unjust war.
This is ideological shallowness in our view. So therefore, in our discussion, we captured this, and we really think the parties involved must stop these unprincipled wars. We call these types of wars unprincipled wars.
This was in agreement with what Pan-Africanists had advocated for earlier.
An urgent meeting ought to take place, and I'm looking to senior statesmen in Africa, such as President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to provide the leadership in that regard.
Such Pan-African spirit is what also brought IGAD on board to lessen tensions that were beginning to brew between Somalia and Ethiopia. This was reportedly due to a memorandum of understanding that Ethiopia had reached with Somaliland. IGAD intervention aimed at avoiding a situation of opening a healing wound for a country like Somalia.
Our forum has always provided us with the unique opportunity to collectively engage the deliberations on each and every disturbing development arising in our region and have an open and constructive dialogue on challenging issues that matter most of our nations and peoples.
Just a few days ago, precisely on Saturday, 25th May, 2024, Africans across major cities on the continent marched to commemorate African Liberation Day. The idea was to advocate for a borderless Africa as a breeding ground for lasting peace.
The survival and prosperity of Africa will largely depend on the ability of the African people to fully address the internal weaknesses which rendered us subjects of plunder and subjugation by outsiders.
We should be loyal to ourselves, and when we are loyal to ourselves, then we will engage with the world on terms that are favorable to us and to them.
To a variety of peace and harmonious loving Africans, this is only possible if ideas are deciphered into action. This would translate into a continent with a brain bank holding a joint account.
We are not children of a lesser God.
Henry Okurut, UBC.
Then it's not.